My backlog of games is quite sizable. I doubt I'll ever truly be able to get through them all, but I don't think it matters if I don't get around to random stuff like John Madden's Football 93 and the SNES. I do like that, keeps me up at night. Until fairly recently, I only ever played one game at a time. I'd get home from school, play TF2 or CSGO, and it was time to get off, and that would be that. However, since around 2020, I've been focusing on playing as many varied experiences from different consoles that I missed out on. I generously dabbled in Nintendo growing up, but I never had an Xbox or a PlayStation, so there are hundreds of classics that I missed out on. Some of the most widespread, critically acclaimed series of all time, like The Last of Us, GTA, Metal Gear Solid, John Madden's Football 93, god damn it. But every time I see discussion online on what the best game or best game series of all time is, I've never not seen the Dark Souls games be mentioned. Therefore, in early November I decided to take my foray into the masterpieces created by From Software by starting a Blue Point game? To start with, I mean, come on. Playing a Souls game for the story is like going to McDonald's for a salad. Yeah, sure, it's there, but burger? It can be worth it if you're a fan of scouring through every NPC and item description for tidbits of world building and or just reading the wiki, but Demon's Souls boils down to this old bloke called King Alant who, like when I go downstairs for cereal at 3 AM, awakens the old one. So now the fog is coming. The fog is coming. The fog is coming. Now the kingdom needs someone to kick ass and retrieve souls, and you're all out of ass. Wait, I fucked that up. Now I ain't gonna lie to you, Chief, there aren't any characters worth talking about here. I just wanted to see that new animation spin around. Oh yeah, look at that one go. I mean, there are characters, but they serve one of two purposes. The first being an NPC that offers a service. Souls can be exchanged for goods and services. Like Stockpile Thomas that handles your item storage, Sage Freak and his apprentice that you can get new magic spells from, and Quentin Tarantino's favourite character, the Maiden in Black, where you upgrade your stats. The second purpose is to say 1 or 2 lines of dialogue before immediately throwing hands, and then disintegrating. The first thing you get to do is choose your class and customise your character, creating the most fucked up looking one you can. Naturally. Your selected class will influence what stats, weapon and armor you can start with. The Knight is your standard all-around Mario-era character, whereas classes like the Temple Knight have higher vitality, endurance, dexterity. Endurance is for item load and sprint speed, vitality is for max HP, dex is for defense. But I think most of the stat upgrades grant higher defense, I don't know, just level anything else. Luckily, to simplify that, classes can be boiled down to one of 2 categories. The Royalty class, and hard mode. The Royalty class starts with the Soul Arrow skill and a ring that will slowly recover SP. Both of these in combination with each other makes the beginning of the game not shit. This is just my personal experience, but the first 2 hours of this game were incredibly rough. I started with the Knight class, the Noble Glorpulon. However, I ended up switching to the Devilish Fiend Wizard of Nobility Lord Foog the Forced. Another benefit of choosing the Royalty class is that I literally did not need to change any armor or weapons throughout the entire game. You can go outside of your way to farm for better alternatives, but I don't think it's necessary, especially once you obtain the absolutely zaced and magic-pilled Crescent Falchion that you can get at the start of the game and also scales off magic, making you cracked at range and up close. The combat is really good actually. Basic but refined. It gives you lots of ways to customize the experience to your playstyle. You can be an Unga Bunga big club behemoth if you want and just power level strength like you do in the rest of the games. No, I get it, bro. You're totally like Guts from Berserk, bro. That's literally you, bro. Or you can level magic like me and anyone else with other things to do, and gain a wide selection of spells and miracles to fuck with your enemies. Although, I do understand how some people might find the range playstyle boring. It's different strokes for different blokes. Don't let any mouth-breathing Redditors tell you, oh, you used a game walkthrough and spells in Elden Ring, you didn't beat the game, The game set out with a hub area that leads to 5 different worlds. Similar to how Metroid Fusion has the main deck that splits into other sectors. Each world is split into 3 different areas, apart from the first one which has an extra one, each area ending with a boss. When you get past the second boss of each area, the final boss of the world is pretty much straight there. Defeat all 4 of these archdemons from World 2 to 5, and unlock access to the second half of World 1 and the end of the game. Levels can be a slog, but once you get used to them you can navigate them pretty fast. Not having checkpoints other than the start of each level kinda sucks, but if you manage your souls well, I guess it's less of a drag once you do that area's boss. Instead of checkpoints, there are shortcuts that you can activate for when you need to do the level again, so if you find them, the run back isn't that bad. The variety of the worlds is pretty cool. My favourite was World 1, where you start at the gates of the Kingdom of Boletaria and eventually make your way through the city, and after a quick detour to 80% of the game, you make your way back inside the castle for the final boss. It nails the whole dragons, castles and kings default settings for a fantasy game kind of thing. World 2 kind of starts off pretty starting in a mining area, but eventually opening up to some crazy lava caves and some tunnels with the dragon god shrine at the end. That's pretty freaking sweet, Lowish. World 3 starts as a spooky prison and then turns into horrors beyond my comprehension. There's a bunch of towers and some mysterious green fog everywhere, so I think it's supposed to be a modern day real life New York City. World 4 is an island full of ghosts, ghouls, and lots of big man from Splatoon. I can appreciate this world for its eerie undertones and bountiful farming routes. Tell them to bring me my money. And finally, World 5 is a icky sticky ooey gooey poison swamp. My favourite part about this world was not doing it. Luckily, you can bypass large parts of this one, and the bosses are pretty easy overall, so you don't have to suffer through it for long. I guess it encompasses the Soulsborne mentality of just hanging in there. It does have a really cool atmosphere, so it's frankly a shame that From Software never tried doing one of these again. The boss battles are fun, but I heard it's the easiest set of bosses in all of the Soulsborne series, so I'm looking forward to getting my shit rocked for the next 6 games or so. I think it's because with a few exceptions, the bosses in Demon's Souls seem way more exploitable, as most have one glaring flaw, like the Flamelurker getting stuck on the massive ribcage, or the Dirty Colossus having a massive blind spot to its right side. I do appreciate some of the more untraditional puzzle bosses, like the stealth-oriented Dragon King fight, and the big sword go whoosh fight against the Storm King. And any boss against spamming Fireball. Now, I know what you're thinking, all this sounds pretty good, but don't be rash. It wouldn't be a complete Souls experience without one silly mechanic. When you die in your human form, you turn into your soul form, which in the remake has no benefits and your maximum health is reduced by half. Enjoy! On top of that, remember the whole no checkpoints thing? Yeah, if you die once in a level or to the boss, you'll have to redo everything on half health, or waste a ring slot to make it 75% health. So if you were struggling before, LOL? You can return to your human form by either defeating a boss or using a certain item you find occasionally, so of course I hoarded all those items until the end of the game and never used them as God wills it. There's also a system in every level called World Tendency, where the actions you perform in each level will move a scale from white World Tendency to dark, with white resulting in easier enemies and black the opposite. You shift it to black by dying in your human form, and you shift it to white by playing the game, so it's really hard to mess it up, and I don't think I noticed it at all through my entire playthrough. It's a nice idea though. Before playing the game, the only thing I had ever heard about the Demon's Souls remake was people annoyed that they had moved away from the art direction of the original on the PS3. Well yeah, some areas do give off a slightly more eerie and menacing aura. Who the fuck cares? Like, it's literally to this day the best looking game graphically I have ever seen. It's actually absurd how good this game looks and how smooth it plays. Whilst Elden Ring does look better overall due to like exceptional art direction and a larger variety in its environments, when it comes to castles and Cornwall, Demon's Souls has it beat. Which made me question why. Elden Ring came out 2 years afterwards. But then I remembered a previous video where I looked through every strictly PS5 exclusive that wasn't available in PS4. The Demon's Souls remake is still, to this day, one of like 3 PS5 games that you can only play on the PS5. I don't know why there's still such a large requirement for modern games to also have a PS4 version, when the PS3 is 3 fucking years old. Let it go, Bled. While I don't have any specific highlights in the OST, that is in every way a major compliment to how overall solid this soundtrack is. Most of the overworld music is slower and ambient. I do like the use of silence and choir in the first Nexus theme, as it makes you feel comfortable. It's the game's safe area. But then it's just the right amount of unsettling to remember that it's this world's final and only safe area left. The bosses, though, are where it really kicks in. Fucking massive orchestral pieces that perfectly suit the style of what boss you're fighting. The Flamelurker is this big fiery bastard, so it's accompanied by this crashing, explosive, powerful song. The Maneater theme is ominous and unsettling to perfectly encapsulate this feeling of, oh fuck, there's a second one now. Maiden Astraea's theme is somber. It's the first fight that makes you question your actions up until now. It works especially well as it's near the end of your journey. You've just slain countless demons, and if you kill the Night Girl Vinland first, you have to watch as she gives up all hope against the vile beast you've become. Then she turns to you and says, I guess this really was a demon's souls. Huh. It's heartbreaking. Also, yeah, I lied earlier. I think my favourite song from the OST happens during the Soul King fight, but it has to be in-game, when accompanied by the atmosphere of the thunder and lightning and rain, and you've got this great big looming fuckhead in the sky, and it's younglings who you've been avoiding with a thief ring for the entire world. There's a moment where you pick up a sword that can send a massive slash through the skies, and the music dynamically kicks in, but whilst not being a difficult fight, it was one of the best spectacles in any boss fight I've ever played. Demon's Souls is the game from the Soulsborne lineup that I see get talked about the least. Every time I see a ranking or tier list, it always gets put like mid-tier. So if that was a mid-tier Soulsborne game, then Jesus Christ, you guys better not be lying about this. If Bloodborne and Elden Ring don't slap as hard as you say, there's gonna be trouble. I'm just saying. Even with a rocky start and some outdated mechanics, I'm glad I stuck with it and gave it another chance, as it allowed me to have a genuinely enjoyable and rewarding experience. Even if I did play on the baby easy royalty mode, and just for that I think it sits somewhere around a 4 out of 5. Thanks for watching. If you've made it this far through the video, then that's great. I've now obtained your social security information and home address. Please at least consider following my Twitter and Twitch pages before politely and immediately declining, like I'm the man handing out the big issue outside the entrance to your workplace.